Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today we're going on a garden tour and we're going to start right here at the pond. So the pond down here is a work in progress. We're not quite finished with it yet, but I'm still trying to make it look nice while we're still working on it. The pots on the steps here have been filling out nicely. I just picked these plants up on the clearance rack. I didn't even really plan out a scheme for them, but they've been actually looking really nice here on the steps. They've been matching side by side. We got them painted up really nice this year, and I think the simple scheme that we're going with is a nice cheery color and keeping it nice and bright here on the patio. I actually have another volunteer gourd coming out of this one that I need to move up to the pergola because my gourds at the pergola are doing terrible. Just using the pond here to water one of the hanging baskets. That petunia needs water every day, so we just set it here in the pond so it can get a nice soaking up of nutrients from the water and get a nice bottom watering. The cold frame's pretty much done. I just use that lettuce now to feed the little ducks and the turkey that I have in the brooders up here in the yard. I did plant out this broken pot with a new succulent here. I forget what it's just a collection of hens and chicks called Berry Blues. So it does have some pups coming off on it, so I should be able to split that up and get some more plants off of it, but I'm liking the way it looks right now here in the broken pot. I am thinking about filling this whole area out with some hardy succulents that are good for zone 6A, so if you know of any, let me know in the comments down below. You can see we're actually getting some calla lilies to pop up, and some of them are looking really good. And if you look closely, you can see it's Japanese beetle season, so I have to get my trap out. Up along the stone edge, we have a row of the brocade marigolds, and that's going to form into a nice tight hedge. They're just starting to bloom now, but they'll go all the way across the rocks all the way to that log. I found this log in the woods up at my brother's house, and I put a hole through it so I could run a nice little stream here and widen out the waterfalls so I could have water coming all the way over here. And I think it turned out really nice. It has a couple little levels here. It's been really cool to see that come from the woods and then go into this position. It actually worked out really well hugging the bank as it climbs up there. With it splitting the garden, making this triangle here, I kind of fill this in with the Super Tunia pink bubble gums because they actually fill in really nice spread out. I like the pop of color they add next to the waterfall. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here, and then a 6th one up there, and it wraps all the way around. I put that one in earlier. So it comes all the way up to the waterfall in a nice drift. And that's going to be a nice color with this bright yellow from the creeping Jenny. I also have on the back side of the waterfall, we have some lighter pink impatiens that are actually starting to get a little bit too much sun. I'm trying to keep them watered in this hot weather we're having, but it's going over 100 degrees with the real feel. So those ones are getting a little bit of bleached out color there. But doesn't this elephant ear just fit in perfect? I planted it before that creeping Jenny actually took over there, so it's popping up through it, and I think it just looks like it belongs. It looks really natural this year. Another addition on back of the waterfall is this lemongrass. I had one over where that elephant ear is now. I had the lemongrass last year, and now I have it over here. I think it'll look nice as a backdrop to the waterfall. I want some height behind the waterfall to bring your eyes down looking at it. I don't want your eyes to just cast right over to the barn. Our viewing angle is from this side mainly, so I think that lemongrass placed on the back of the waterfall would just draw the eye down a little bit better down to the pond and the waterfall, rather than just losing it right over top into the island in the barn. We do have some algae in the pond. The water's crystal clear, but we do have a lot of algae just floating around in the pond, but I do have some good news about that. So we're finally going to be ordering the second pump for the pond here. The one pump that's running right now is running the waterfall. It's supposed to be running the bog filter wetland bay for the filtration system, but instead it's running the waterfall. So once we get the bigger pump that's supposed to go on the waterfall, I can switch that pump to the filter, and I'll have more than double the filtration that's going on right now, and that should really help with the algae problem that I've been having. It's only a visual problem. All the fish inside are actually healthy and doing fine, and the water quality is actually really clear, but we have algae in the water at the bottom, and we have it floating all around, which just isn't very visually appealing. And when you get in, it starts wrapping around you like hair, and I really didn't like that feeling. So I have been scooping it out as much as possible, but it's hard to keep up with just a little net. On the back side of the falls here, I did get some marigolds planted, a nice little circle of brocade marigolds, and right behind that I put some dahlias. I didn't put dahlias in this area last year, but This year I had an open space and I was moving the dahlias, and I figured this would be a nice easy spot to put them, get that weed out of there. So I don't know what color they are, but I think they're red. They might be red. We'll see whenever they start blooming. But I think that'll be a nice pop of color back here. That gladiola should be blooming probably later than most of them. It usually blooms in the fall because it's a newer, younger gladiola. This one, on the other hand, is a very mature, healthy one. This is a big red gladiola that has been in this location for I think 4 years now, just getting massive and loving its spot. I can count just off quickly looking at it 2.5 dozen of the buds ready to bloom. We have one on the back side here that's just starting to open up. So I think next week this is going to be a beautiful show here on the pond. Behind that we had a volunteer sunflower that actually volunteered in a beautiful spot. It was perfect. It actually didn't even get too tall. It came right up with a hummingbird feeder, a little bit too tall, but not too bad. It's opening up as a multi-head, so it'll bloom for multiple weeks instead of just 1 week. Makes it even better. We have some lilies still blooming here, and the butterfly bush, the Pugster buddleia, coming into bloom right after all that. So this is going to start bringing down the butterflies to the pond, and we also have the hosta coming open as well. So this one's a little bit later than some of the other ones. There's also a lot of other places that the hostas are starting to open as well. The palm tree that I plugged in here got a little stunted because it wasn't ready for the full sun I gave it. It came out of a greenhouse a little bit protected, but it is putting off a new healthy leaf that can take full sun. I think it's gonna do all right. So it's finally summer here and we're getting the hot weather. I've been trying to keep water to all the animals so they can stay cool, but it's been really nice to finally get some heat around here. It's almost even hot enough today that I might be able to get in the pond again. I've been brooding a lot of baby birds on the patio this year, so we don't have all the plastic walls off of it yet. We want to get those down so I can get my trellises up for the purple hyacinth bean vine I have planted in here. I'm hoping that it's wanting to climb. We got one right here. This is Monolid Boda Jungle Queen. That's coming up nicely. And my hyacinth bean vine should be over here. Okay. It's not doing too well, but it's probably getting shaded out by these massive gladiolas. These things are doing amazing. These red and yellow gladiolas. Look at them. They're opening up first, being in a small raised bed up against the foundation. I think the ground's heating up a lot quicker for them. Might need to give them some water because they're probably sucking a lot of juice right now in this hot weather. There's a lot more buds on there to come up too, so that's working out really nice there. The ramp bed's looking nice with the lilies still blooming and the marigolds starting to come into color. We do have the zinnias getting bigger back there, but they're not setting any flower buds yet. We do have a big bud on the gladiola though, so I don't really remember what color this gladiola is. If you do, let me know down in the comments down below from last year's garden tours. But we're gonna find out here soon because that one is almost ready to open. I finally got the majority of my plant start trays all cleaned up. I have a few more things that I did want to put in the ground, but I just haven't got them in yet. I usually start a little bit more than I can plant, and I find it hard to say goodbye to them because I think maybe I can still plant them somewhere, but I really don't have the time to plant much more. Down here at the vegetable garden, we have another dahlia that I planted next to the entrance, and a calla lily that is just blooming beautifully, having a lot of blooms on it. And it looks like we're getting some damage, probably from some more Japanese beetles. I gotta get a trap up. On the inside here, we have a sunflower that volunteered right in my walkway, so I've been trying not to kill it. We have the hostas that are starting to open up as well, so we have some purple coming in here on the corner. I also have some calla lilies blooming in here. I thought I had one in the middle there, but maybe I've been saving that spot. Yeah, for you, puppy. That's what I've been saving it for. But we have a couple more coming down this line. I have a plan for the end here, but I haven't had time to actually get to it. I feel like I haven't had time for a lot of plans. I just haven't been too great at organizing my time. It's something I've been trying to work on, so we'll see if it gets any better. In the pollinator ring, the butterfly bush is starting to bloom. We also have some more calla lilies. I saw this one, it just looked gorgeous. Look at the color going out through the leaf. Amazing. In my onion bed, the ones that I started from seed did not fare too well, but the ones I started from already started plants are doing great. Actually, we already harvested some for dinners, but it looks like some are actually ready to be harvested again because they have some kinked necks. So this one's definitely not going to be growing anymore. and either is that one. So we're going to be picking those ones out, taking them inside so they don't get any more drier in this heat that we're having. The fennel is in full bloom right now, doing good. I'm thinking about harvesting some of that, drying it out, and throwing it in the animal bedding to try and freshen it up in the barn. The brassicas down here are doing well. We actually have a cauliflower here that I'm noticing now probably has some bug damage, but that'll be nice for the animals. I bet the pigs will like that. We have some more going on here, but I'm not sure it's forming any heads. We're having crazy hot weather, so any of these brassicas probably aren't going to taste too good. This cabbage on the end, though, I'm hoping it forms a really nice head. Even if I give it to the pigs or the chickens to enjoy, I'm still really hoping this cabbage performs and actually produces something. It's my only one, and it's just gorgeous. Look at this cabbage. It's got to be probably at least 2 feet around, so we're going to see how it performs in the hot weather that we're having, but there's something here on the property is going to eat that cabbage. The raised beds going down the side here have a beautiful backdrop with all the volunteer sunflowers and the cut flower garden, so that's really nice to have in the background. We have some tomatoes here that are putting on some size. They're all green yet, but I'm really hoping we get some ripening tomatoes here. Oh, I see some. There's a red blush on that one tomato. So we're definitely going to be getting some ripening tomatoes here soon. I did get an attack from maybe a tomato hornworm. It kind of ate up a lot of my leaves and ends here. I didn't find it, but I did a spray with BT, and you can see how nice, lush, and green they're doing. So as long as we keep getting some nice waterings from the rain. But this one I don't think is going to make it back. I think it lost too much from, I think a tomato hornworm did that. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what it looks like to me. I do have some cucumber seeds popping up in here, and I tried to sow some other ones, so we'll see if they start growing. This next bed is peppers, and I also have some squash here growing on the outside. If it does get bigger, I'm going to hang it over the outside, but it doesn't seem to be growing too fast. I have a cucumber running along the inside there, and then I have a zucchini, and this one's actually growing a little zucchini. I could probably I should probably harvest that little zucchini. Oh, look at all these squash bugs. Got a bunch of little squash bug eggs. Try and get rid of these when I see them. Try not to do too much damage to the leaf, but sometimes a little bit on the leaf is better than all those hatching. Another beautiful backdrop for the potatoes. We have some Shasta daisy, some sunflower, and some echinacea. The potatoes popped up a lot better than I thought they were going to. I had some spotty areas, but they're all starting to fill in nicely. We even have some over here coming up really late. So I think pretty much everything came up. I just got them in really late, so we're going to see how they do this year, but it's better to have some than none. I did get some of the pumpkins onto the squash mound here. They're not doing too great. They initially got attacked by some bugs. This one actually really needs some water. It might have a bug problem. I did give them a spray and they bounced back a little bit, but they're really struggling out here on the squash mound. It's really a harsh place to even grow, so hopefully they can handle it. But I've been trying to treat them with BT, but we've been having a decent amount of rain on and off. And whenever it rains, the BT gets washed off and you have to reapply it for it to work. And if you're just doing that, you're kind of wasting it. So I haven't been just reapplying it. I've been waiting for a decent dry stretch before I spray it again. I have been trying to keep up with the treatments on my giant pumpkin though. This is a Dill's Atlantic Giant, and I'm trying to get a pretty big sized pumpkin this year. I've been trying to keep up with this one, watering it each night with some pond water. It's been taking about 5 gallons each night, and I think I can bump it up even more than that. I'm a little behind schedule than I'd rather be on this, but I'm happy that I have a healthy plant, and I'm hoping I can still get a decent sized pumpkin out of it. My friend has a little bit bigger plant than this, but it's all about the size of the pumpkin at the end. I didn't do much other planting in the ground out here in the garden, but I do have a bunch of volunteer calendula coming up, which is really nice to have. Out here at the island garden, I'm getting overtaken by the Blue Sea Erigium. It's reseeded from last year, and I have a ton of volunteers. I'm thinking about picking some of these out and potting them up so I can give them away or sell them, but there's a lot here. I'm thinking it might be best if I don't let those go reseed this year. I'm gonna have to probably cut them down before they all finish off, but the pollinators love them, so I know they're gonna be pollinated and drop a lot of seed again. I'm not sure if this daisy here is an actual plant that I put in or a weed, but it kind of looked like a daisy, so I left it go and I didn't weed it out. But I'm kind of thinking I should have weeded it out because it's not really a structural or formed daisy that I want to have in here. So I'm probably going to want to pull that out of here. We have some hostas starting to bloom, as well as the Lucifer crocosmia actually starting to put on some buds here. And this one's even opening up. So that is a beautiful flower. And the hummingbirds are going to love coming out here to hit this one. We also have some lilies popping up out here. I don't know the names of them, but this purple one is very nice. I like the purple color. We also have calla lilies popping up. This one is a bright orange, but it also has like a sherbirdy kind of color. So it has some pink edges to it. It's really nice. This one actually does some different stuff. So it has more of a yellow to it on this one. So you can get some different hues and colors out of it. Even has some purple down there at the base. The yellow lilies are still blooming. I didn't get a full bunch of them. I was supposed to have another one on this side, but it died over the winter. So I might have to split that one up or pull some from somewhere else, because I do like having that tall gap or tall bunches of yellow lilies back here. It's a big, nice spot of color. We have one of the yuccas still blooming, which is nice to see. One there and one over here. That one looks really healthy, but it didn't send up a bloom shoot. So that's fine, but maybe it'll bloom next year and this one won't. So maybe it'll be nice alternating blooms for the yuccas. Down here is one of two of the yellow lilies that are popping open. This one's a nice pale yellow. So I don't have a full color scheme out here. I just want blooms to be happening all the time. This is a big old weed, but you can see how the weed is actually attracting a lot of the aphids. So I'll be pulling that out, but I don't want to pull it out because I just mowed, and I hate when I weed right after I mow and then I have all the weeds laying in the grass. I usually like to weed right before I mow and I can mulch them all up, but it all looks nice right now. I have it mowed, edged, and I don't want to pull out a bunch of weeds and make it all look nasty, even though I already started right there. Can't help myself. What do you think, puppy? You like this purple one? This thing is looking nice down here. It's a little purple ice plant, I think. I thought it was a lot like my little red one, but this one got a lot bigger. It's kind of unique and different, and I like how it's just that one spot of color out here that just gives a little accent where nothing else is. I'm working on getting the ivy to trail all the way around the rocks, but I'm trying to shape that up. It's a little bit haywire right now, but I've been working on it. Got to fill up that bird bath. This one needs to be shaped up too. I went around and cut it, but then I have a bunch of them actually just popping up and growing through the gravel as well. So I have to go through and pull all those out to clean that up. But the calla lilies are starting to bloom here along the pathway. So we're getting some different colors, some deep purples, some more sherberts. My aunt gave me all these calla lilies a couple years ago, and I just put them here because I needed a place to put some plants, and I had a bunch of these, so I figured it'd look nice, and I think it did turn out well, but they don't get a ton of sun in here, so I don't think I'm getting as many blooms as I should. But they form a nice little border around the pathway coming down to the bench in the island here. We have the Empress Wu blooming here on the side, which is a really nice big hosta. You can't get much bigger, but you can get one that's variegated, which I am on the lookout for. I'd like to get a variegated Empress Wu. I think it's called a Wu La La. I think that'd be a nice addition out here as well. Up. We are starting to get some hydrangea blooms as well. This is the firelight hydrangea coming on the back side of the island, and that one's probably opening up second. The one in the pergola I think was opening up first. It gets a little bit more sun. We still have a nice show of the orange daylilies coming along the backside here to a nice bright white yucca. And it leads you over to the driveway line, which is another nice bright row of orange daylilies going down the whole side here to the mini coop. And following them up are the purple hostas in between all of them. So we'll have a nice show of color here for a few weeks in a row. Finally got the compost in the poplar bed all covered up, and then I have a branch fall out of the poplar tree onto all my plants. I have to pull this guy out of there. Pretty big. This is some sort of hybrid poplar tree. My dad planted it here years ago because it's supposed to be one of the fastest growing trees at the time. It did grow pretty quickly, probably that tall in about 35 years, but it is a pretty weak tree and it does drop branches from time to time, so you don't really want to park next to this thing. I have one of my gourd bird houses in there, and I'm looking at it and I see another loose branch just hanging here, a dead one. So I'll go ahead and pull that down. Decent size too. The pergola garden is looking pretty beautiful right now. We have the grass there on the corner starting to get bigger. I'd like that to even get probably 6 feet tall. I think it's a variegated feather reed grass if I'm right, and it should get a little bit bigger than that. We have the dark suit hydrangea right here that's not really putting on any buds. I haven't seen this bloom since the blooms that I had whenever I bought it. It is putting on some really nice healthy growth, so hopefully it has some blooms on it this year. I think I called the other one a firelight hydrangea. I think that was a quick fire, and this one's the firelight. The quick fire is a little bit smaller, and the firelight blooms a little bit earlier, I think. I might be wrong on that, but that one's looking nice, getting a little bit bigger and brighter in this corner. Lingering over the pathway here, we have the beautiful red trumpet vine that's putting on a lot of blooms this year. A lot more buds than it's ever put on before. I was able to usually count how many buds that this had on 2 hands, but now it's putting on a lot. So we have clusters all around this thing, so it should be putting on a bloom show for a few weeks. On the calla lily hedge, we are getting some different colors here, some deeper purples, some little bit more pink, and some like lavender or lilac purples with some whites in it. So it's nice to have some variety coming through here. Another volunteer sunflower, another group, and some more volunteer sunflowers back here. Unfortunately, most of my gourds did not make it. We still have a couple over here that are still alive. One right here that looks a little bit like a squash, but we're gonna keep it alive. And then I have one gourd over here that I tried already to get onto the trellis, but it seems to have fallen off. That is the only real gourd. That one's a squash, and I really don't have anything else to climb the pergola. We're working on the hanger garden here, trying to get around the hostas all mulched. My dad wants to have plastic along the building to keep the water to shed away, and we're gonna bring the plastic down to the hostas, and then we're gonna mulch over with all the wood chips I've been stacking there. This volunteer sunflower is gonna have to get worked around for now, and we also have a lilac right here. But we did kill all the weeds going here because he doesn't want to have to deal with any of that. I did talk him into cutting the fabric off at the hostas so they can still get some water. He wants as much water coming away from the building as possible, so he wants to use plastic instead of landscape fabric. He also wanted to put stone in here to try and keep as much of the spiders out as possible, but I think the stone, large stone, is going to be a better spider habitat than wood chips. And we actually have wood chips, and we don't have to buy anything to put the mulch down. So we're going to be using the plastic along the building, and we're going to be using the wood chips all the way down to where we killed the grass and all the weeds. And that's actually going to get carried around the entire building, all 3 sides. Coming out on the other side of the pergola, we have the silver lace vine arch that we got put up this year. The silver lace vine has been growing, but I did build this new arch this year so that it could support the weight of the silver lace, and it's actually putting a lot of growth on. So I've been trying to train it around that corner, but I haven't been up here in probably a week at least to prune it back, and you can see how quickly it grows, and it gets haywire pretty quick. I don't really mind it, but I do like whenever it's all shaped up. This right here is going to be a little project. I was able to thrift a set of these iron chairs and tables, so I'm going to have to put a new tabletop, new seat covers on it, and get these all sanded and painted. But I think that's going to be a nice set to possibly have down in the vegetable garden. I've been looking for a set like this, but I didn't want to put all the money into a finished set, so it's really nice to find a beat up set for free that I can fix up myself. Honeysuckle's been getting taller, filling out and blooming nicely. It smells nice out here. It did get all the way to the top, it just has to fill out a little bit more. The sweet autumn clematis is growing nicely and starting to climb up the pole. So I'm pretty happy with the way the pergola is turning out this year, but I am pretty sad that I didn't get the gourds to grow over and cover it, because that is kind of the reason I built a pergola in the first place with my dad, but I didn't get the gourds to grow this year, so it's nice that the rest of the garden's really pulling together and making the whole area look pretty nice. Hey puppy, you enjoying it over here in the shade garden? Yeah. It's a hot one today. Down here underneath the red maple tree in the newly created shade garden, I pulled these plants from other locations on the property that weren't doing too well, and they're doing a lot better in this spot. Behind them we have the mini coop holding Mr. Peepers and Piper. Not sure if they are a male and female pair, but that's what I'm hoping for, so we're gonna have to grow them out to find out. But they are a Narragansett turkey. I'm probably saying that wrong, but they're a Narragansett turkey, and I'm hoping to breed them if they are a male and female pair. What are you guys, hot? It's a hot one out here, guys. And over in this pen here, we have Major and Company. Major is the gander in front here, the big one. And then we have a drake and some ducklings. So they're growing out to be some egg ducklings and possibly some breeders as well. And Major here, the gander, is going to be Mumble's mate. So hopefully we'll be able to get some goose eggs as well that are fertilized and ready to hatch next year. If you want to follow along with the animals here at Whitt Acres, make sure to go down in the description below and subscribe to my Whitt Acres Homestead channel, where I put everything that has to pertain to the homestead. But it's a pretty hot one today, so we're going to cut this one off here. If you enjoy gardening videos, make sure to subscribe down below. Hit that like button before you leave, and you can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching.